All right, welcome everybody. Okay, so today's Friday. Start with question of the day. Kind of similar to yesterday's, but kind of different. So today's question of the day is which do you prefer, big cities or small towns, and why? And I'll start. For me, I think I'm definitely probably more of a small town guy. I think I lived in Vegas for a little bit, which I'd consider a relatively big city, especially compared to Guam. And I think it could just get really fast paced really fast. And I think I like the idea of living in a slower area and then moving to where or going to where it's kind of more fast paced when I want to, rather than vice versa. And I could definitely see an argument for it being the other way. But I think I prefer living, especially because, I have a daughter and stuff like that. I think I prefer the a little bit slower lifestyle, rather than the really fast, pace of a large city like San Francisco or something like that. Yeah, so that's kind of my preference on that. Um, we'll go ahead and start with Adrian.
It's kind of hard. I think my personal bias because like I've been on Guam for so long, and then I go to Japan, and I kind of like the amount of like the city in Tokyo, or like basically that kind of city life. I think I would prefer that mainly because there's a lot more things to do. Uh, I mean, I don't mind either one, but like if I were to like do more stuff because I kind of want to do more, like go out, uh, I'd probably do city life. Specifically either in Tokyo, somewhere clean. Like Japan seems nice. Korea seems nice. Yeah. Matt.
What was the question again?
Yeah, which do you prefer, big cities or small towns, and why?
I'd say small towns. So it's like an easy I say small towns because it's easy to like know where places are, and I'd say like the you also like you could save gas because the gas prices are getting pretty high as well. Junior.
I like how Adrian brought up Japan. Yeah, I think it would depend on what kind of city and what kind of town. But if I were, I don't know, I am very biased. I think if I was ever going to compare Guam to anything, I'd always choose Guam just because it's home and whatnot. But I gotta admit, I do like taking trips to the cities and whatnot, and I just don't think I could sustain that kind of lifestyle for too long. I think when I was out in the mainland, right, like LA, the city, and LA, everything is big city, but everything is so far apart. And then like in New York, everything is just so condensed. I like Japan, like Korea. Even in Philippines is okay, minus the traffic, but um, nothing compares to Guam for me. So yeah, small town.
100%. All right, thank you all. Yeah, I think I definitely, yeah, I agree with that. Sorry. So Ron just messaged me. His audio is max. Okay, there's Ron. And then Kiko also let me know. So there's the concert tomorrow, the Clutches concert that they're doing. And so he's actually their contract. I think they're working with him on some stuff on that. And so he unfortunately isn't able, he's working right now, is basically what he's doing. Um, but yeah, so that's what's going on there. Ron, sorry. So the question was, which do you prefer, big cities or small towns, and why?
Small towns. Not a fan of the big city, all the fast pace, the noise. Definitely small town.
Yeah. So I think I don't know, just the last thing I'll say on this note is like I think when when you're young, I think I think big city is cool. I think that's where like again, like if for example, if I didn't have a daughter, for example, I think I would be more of a big city type of person because, want to, hustle and, work hard. Like not to say you can't work hard in a small town, but yeah, I think you guys get what I'm saying and like those kind of things. So I think that's depending on where you're at in your life, I think that also kind of determines and what's going on. And so for me, I think specifically because of my family, I want to be in a small town, but I love like kind of like you guys saying Japan. Um, Brought my daughter there and my girlfriend there last year towards it right before the first class started, and it was so cool to bring them out there. Been out there a few times now, it's always super cool. But I like it as somewhere to visit rather than somewhere to stay. I think it's to me it's more exciting that way. And just also there's so much going on. I feel like it's like I get overwhelmed in Tokyo like by itself. Like yeah, there's just like it's just so much going on, like a million people, and it's crazy. But yeah, my 2 cents on that. Okay. Another thing I want to share with you guys is that I just presented today at Career Day. I am at FD's Career Day. It was actually really cool. Got to see a lot of the students and stuff. I think Matt's brother, I don't know if he said, I don't know, Matt, I don't know if your brother was in the class with mine, but it was cool. Yeah, it was nice to we did a little demo, showed them like a really simple like CLI, like a really simple like kind of chatbot CLI kind of thing that you guys could kind of do in your sleep, but it was really cool. Yeah, so just wanted to share that. The next time that I do one, I don't know when's the next time, but I'm sorry I didn't think of this earlier, but I asked the first class that I had to kind of if they wanted to come. And most of them were kind of busy right now. But whenever I do the next one, I'm gonna ask you guys as well. So if any of you guys want to come join, just say what's up and also like see what's I'll give your 2 cents on what it's like to the students or anything like that. Because I've been to a few other ones. I think I did Yoji, I did um, Untalan, and some other places. So yeah, I'm gonna shoot a message in the chat the next time I have one upcoming, and if anybody you guys want to kind of join or tag along, feel free. Okay, cool. So for today, as I mentioned yesterday, we're gonna have a way better breakdown of associations. Yesterday was a very rushed version, and I apologize for that again. Today we're going to make a lot more sense of it, and we're actually going to use kind of a different lesson plan. We're going to use more of the way that I learned it originally, which I think I like this a lot better. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen. I'm actually gonna have to fix it because I moved from monitors, so it's gonna do that weird thing again. Yeah, it's like all the way on the side. Okay, let me fix this real quick. That to that. Where's it at? There's the top. Okay. Okay, cool. So we're kind of going to start from scratch here today. We will speed through certain things because we've kind of went through certain things already, but for the most part, we are going to not like because of what we went through already, we're not going to like take it from scratch, or in a sense. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's do this. So we're going to use the example of an e-commerce site. So let's say by e-commerce site, some site where you're going to order some products. So we can think of this as this is the products table. So if I click this, so this is the products table. It has an ID, it has a name, and it has a price. And of course, it's going to have created at, updated at, etc. But we're just not writing that. So one piece of data that we're going to want to keep track of, other than the product, is probably like maybe who's the supplier for each product. And so right off the back, we can kind of, instead of it just looking like this with just a simple products table with a name, price, whatever, we might do something like this, where now we have an ID, we have a name, we have a price, we have a supplier name, a supplier email, and a supplier phone. Because theoretically, for each product, we're going to want to track who is the supplier, who's the supplier, and how do we contact them? Because like, what if we want to order more? Or what if we need information about this product or whatever it may be? We need the information for that supplier. And so right off the back, I think there's a few, or actually maybe before I say my 2 cents or what I think on it, I want to see it. Does anybody think there's any issues with kind of this setup that we have here? Like, does anyone have any thoughts on this? And it's okay if you don't, but I just kind of want to put that out there. Like, I think that there's some issues with the way this looks to me. And so I wanted to see, kind of open it up to see if there's anything that you guys could think of with why we wouldn't want to do it this way.
Is it the supplier email?
Not necessarily. I mean, the supplier, so there's nothing wrong with the data per se. Like all of the data here, like Nike, Adidas, info at Nike.com, all the phone numbers, etc. Like all these are fine. Like that's information that we'd want to keep track of. Because like what if we want to contact the supplier for these Air Jordans or this whatever it is, this. And so that's not necessarily like there's nothing wrong with that, but it's more of like how are we structuring our data is more of the real thing that I wanted to see what you guys' thoughts on maybe if there's anything here that you think that we can do better instead of doing it this way.
Would it be something to do with like the supplier? Like the supplier is kind of like the one that's gonna come up a lot. Like it's not gonna be um as unique as all the different kinds of shoes. Like Nike makes about a bunch of shoes, Adidas makes a bunch of shoes or something like that. I don't know. I'm
Yeah, no, I think you're definitely going along the right path with this. It's like we have a lot of redundant data. Is that what kind of you're trying to say? Roughly. Yeah. So we have a lot of redundant data here. And so there has to be a nicer way for us to handle this. And there is. There actually is a much nicer way. Because, like, so right off the back, let's say, let me ask you this. Like, if let's say Nike changes their phone number, they change it from 800 555 whatever, whatever, to now it's 555, whatever, 4 at the end. So now, in order to update every single phone number. We're gonna have to go to every single product and go ahead and okay, cool. This one also has 4. This one also has 4. This one also has 4. Imagine if there was 100 products in your database. Imagine if there was 1,000 or thousands, because Nike has a lot of different products. You're gonna have to literally go and run an update on every single one of those, which obviously is very, very not ideal. That's just going to take a lot of compute power. To me, it's just going to waste a lot of resources and also just waste a lot of time. So that is definitely not how we want to handle it. And so a better way to handle this is to split this into two different tables. So, and what I mean by that is so we have our products table, which let me go and do this. I'm going to put products. And then we should also have another table. So basically, instead of having suppliers on the products table, supplier should be its own table in itself. So we should do something like suppliers. And then it has an ID, it has a name, it has an email, and it has a phone. And so our suppliers could look something like this. And so I'm already using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So just theoretically, I'm just going to start at 10. Theoretically, this would start at 1, but I'm just going to start at 10 just to make it different IDs. So I'm going to start at 10 and 11. So now we'll have theoretically, we have like Nike, info at Nike.com. And then we also have like, I'm just going to copy that, this phone number. And then for Adidas, we have like Adidas, hey at adidas.net. And then I'm just going to copy this again. So this to me looks a lot nicer, or starting already to kind of look a lot nicer. So one more thing, or now that we have this, now we can kind of, and actually here, I'll just do this to make it bigger. Now we can get rid of this information here. We officially do not need that. We don't need that information anymore. However, we do need a way to link this table and this table together. And so how we can do that is with the foreign key, with the association. So basically we can add, for example, a supplier underscore ID. And so now we can give the ID of whatever supplier it is that this specific product belongs to. So for example, this one's 10, this one's 10, this one's 10, this one's 10, and this one's 11. And so now this products table is now associated with this suppliers table through this foreign key. This right here is the connection between this and this. And so now the kind of here's where the power comes in. Let's say Nike changes their number back to whatever dot 555. All right, cool. Now their number's this. Now no longer do we have to update it in 100 or 1,000 or however many places. Now we update it in one place, and that is updated for every single product in our database. And that's one of the other huge things with associations is that it's like this one supplier has many different products. So instead of having to update this supplier's information for every single product, you update it on the supplier information, and that will update all of the products information as well, which is really, really nice. And then the other thing, kind of like what we were doing yesterday, where if you have the supplier, you can just grab all of their products very, very easily. And vice versa. If you had a product, you can find who is the supplier very, very easily because you obviously have their ID. So it's just a matter of looking up for that ID in the database. And so going back and forth now is very easy and it's a lot more convenient to kind of deal with. And so this is one of the huge things, or like these are kind of, I guess, a couple of the huge things with associations and why we want to use associations and connect tables together so that way it's a one to many association. Does this make more sense? Solid. Questions, comments before we move on? Okay, cool. So this process that we did here, where we split up that one products table into a products and suppliers table, and this isn't something I'm expecting you guys to memorize per se, but it's just a good thing to know for like the technical definition. So technically that process that we just did is something called normalization. So that's the technical term. Like if you hear normalization, dealing with like tables and models, more than likely it's like you're taking one table and you're splitting it up into multiple. So that way you can clean up the data and there's not as much redundant data. Be called normalizing it or normalization. Okay. And so there's other ways that we could have done it, but to me, this is the cleanest way that I can think of off the top of my head. And also this is the way that oftentimes REST APIs and Rails, obviously Rails APIs specifically, often handle these kind of situations. Okay, so another thing that I want to share with you guys, and actually I like going through this too, is why did we add the supplier ID here and not add a product ID here? Why didn't we do both? Or why didn't we do instead of like let's delete this and why don't we just do product ID here instead? And so the reason we don't do that is because, and if we run through this together right now, we'll see kind of exactly why. And so let's work through this. So like this Nike had these four products. So okay, so this product ID. So now this product ID is going to be more of an array. It's going to be like, okay, this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. This one only had 5. And so right off the back, we can see this data here can get kind of really messy really quick. We're going to have a long array of data of like, let's say there was 1,000 different product IDs in here, rather than just having a single ID associated with the product to connect it to another table. And so this right here is why we wouldn't do a product ID instead of doing a supplier ID or both or whatever. That's why it makes more sense for us to just do supplier ID and then have it be like 1 or whatever. It's 10 technically. 10, dang, 10, 10, 10, 10, 11. This is so much cleaner. It's so much easier to just connect. It's so much simpler, etc. Rather than us having like an array of product IDs. We just have a single integer that's an ID, and that's about it. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and just to continue, what's it called? Just to continue building upon that, this is again a situation where we have like a single supplier, one supplier that has many different products. There are other situations where we're gonna have like like a supplier can have many products, but also a product can have many suppliers, for example. But that kind of is the next level to this. That does happen in the real world, not as often as this, but that does happen. And we're gonna go through that after we first understand this first concept. Okay. So with that being said, kind of following this concept. I'm gonna share this exact spreadsheet with you guys. And I believe I made it so yeah, so you guys can only view it. So what you guys are gonna do, because I don't want everybody to be editing the same file. So you're gonna click on this file button right here, and then you're gonna click make a copy. And that's gonna basically it's gonna make a copy of it that you own. Kind of like forking. This is kind of like you're gonna make a fork. I want you to make a fork of it, in a sense. And so basically we're gonna go to this normalize tab. And I want you guys to take a look at these, what's it called? At these different tables. So we have employees, we have tweets, and we have products. And I want you to figure out how can you normalize these these tables to basically split them up into a more manageable, cleaner system in a sense. And so the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to fill it out. So I want you to first be like, okay, cool. Let's start with 1, 2, 3, and then literally fill out this information. Like let's say Leon Shimizu, department name, HR, department manager, someone, let's say like Mr. Someone. I don't know, whatever. Department code 123. Email is 123 at test.com, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so I want you to fill out this information. And it can be a little bit tedious, but it's so much easier to kind of figure out what is the redundant data, or if it's worth it to even split the data up if you actually can see the data. If you're just going off of the attributes or the column names, it's like maybe this kind of makes sense, like I don't know, like it's harder to kind of better visualize it if you're only looking at like this high level attributes. It's easier when you actually fill out the data. Okay. Let's see. The final thing that I'm going to note before I kind of give you guys this stuff is that if you remember yesterday, other than the supplier ID, the other thing that we needed to figure out was which one is the one and which one is the has many. So in this situation, a supplier has many products. So I'm literally going to write has many products. And then over here, that means that a product belongs to a supplier. So I'm literally going to write belongs to supplier. And so these are the associations, and this is how we set it up. So we know that it's a one to many association. So whichever one is the many, or whichever one is the belongs to, is going to be the one with the foreign key or the supplier ID in this situation. And so we have has many and we have belongs to. And so that's the other thing I want you guys to figure out. I want you guys to figure out how are you going to split these tables up into more than likely two tables. So that way there's no redundant data, and we're going to normalize it and figure out which one is going to have the foreign key and which one is going to have the belongs to and has many. And so if you figure out which one has the foreign key, that's going to be the one with the belongs to. That's my hint to you. The belongs to is always the one with the foreign key every single time. Okay, does that make sense with everybody? Okay, cool. So we're just gonna work through this. I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of time. Let me grab the exercise. Wait, where's the link? Yeah. Okay. Cool. So you're gonna go to that link, make a copy of it, and then you're gonna figure out how you're gonna break it up into two different tables while keeping the tables associated with one another. There has to be some sort of connection to the others. And so you're also gonna mark down which table has many of the other and which table belongs to the other. And so I just also put a note that these are three separate exercises. These aren't like in no way are these exercise one, two, and three connected to each other. So that means that this is going to be the first one, this is the second one, third one, etc. And so again, the first thing I want you to do is actually fill out the data here. So figure like go and like take your time, one, two, three, names, etc., etc. All right. So you guys are good to share your screen and try that out. I'll be right back, guys. I'm gonna grab something while you guys are doing this. All right. So, um, do we have any volunteers to walk us through? So I want one of you guys to do each one of them. So if we have a volunteer for exercise one, that'd be great. And then exercise two, and then exercise three. And even if it's not fully complete, we'll work through it together.
I'll do three because I'll probably got it wrong, but I'll do number three.
Oh, okay. So
I'll do the first one.
okay, we got Adrian with number one. We have volunteer for number two. Matt and Ron. What do you guys? All right, Matt got number two. All right. So, I'm gonna stop sharing everyone else's screen except for Adrian's, and then you guys can just share as you come up. Okay. All right. So, Adrian, walk us through what you got for exercise one.
Okay. So what I did for exercise one is I just identify which makes most sense to like kind of divide into association. So the one I thought it would make sense the most is, you know how in basically in any office company, there's like the person and they belong into like a different department. So I kind of it made sense to me to like divide it into departments, and I just put in the department name, department manager, and department coach here respectively for this example at least. But yeah, that was my thought process.
Solid. I think that's exactly the way I'm thinking of it too, and I'm thinking that's probably everyone here agrees with that. My question to you though is how is departments and employees connected? Like, what is like how are they connected right now? Right now, to me, those look like two completely separate models or database tables, and there's no direct connection between either of them.
Oh shoot. I should have kept like department here specifically because it doesn't actually identify um which department they belong to. So I could have kept the department tab here so that way they're kind of it shows the association. But like loosely the job title shows like IT guy, accounting guy, marketing guy. So that gives an implication, but I should have put a department header here.
No worries. So my recommendation is instead of putting the department like let's say the department name exactly, because that could work or that would work. However, I think a better way to handle it, especially for in terms of like the convention, would be to do a department ID. So you would add a department ID to the employees table.
Oh shoot. I was gonna put in red department ID, but yeah, I'll
Yeah,
just put here. Yeah.
there you go. And then from there, the departments also need their own IDs because in a database, departments will have IDs basically. Like every table has its own IDs by default. Like that's not something you have to necessarily um, worry about per se. That's like something everyone has. And so that's not going to be so in the database, what is it going to be department ID or is it going to be ID? It's like when, like for example, when you've created a products table or a users table or whatever it is it ID or is it whatever like department ID?
Oh, ID. It's ID.
Okay, solid. There we go. Yep. So let's go ahead and give your department some IDs.
Let's go with
Solid. And so now how can we, yep, exactly. Perfect. And so now we can see there's a direct association. And so my final question to you is what is the one-to-many association here? Which one is the one, which one is the many? Because that's going to then also tell us which one is the has many and which one is the belongs to.
th if I were to phrase it, one department has many employees. Is
Mm-hmm.
that yeah.
Yep, that sounds exactly right. So then why don't we write, and you can do it, maybe you write it right here. So you can say a department has many employees. Perfect. And so then what does that mean for employees now?
There is many employees.
Yeah. And
I'm
maybe
just reading
better,
again.
I don't want to say better. I like the way you're thinking of it, but maybe another way we could phrase it is an employee belongs to a department. So one employee belongs to one department. Yes, in the real world, an employee could theoretically be assigned to many different departments, but for this specific situation, we're going to say one employee belongs to one exact department, one specific one, and a department has many employees. So there's the association. And perfect. I can see exactly the way this would work together. We have an employees table and it has an ID, first name, last name, email, phone, job title, and department ID. All of those are specific to a specific employee. And then we have the departments, which has an ID, department name, department manager, department code, etc. And so all of those are specific to a department. And so a department has many employees. An employee belongs to a department. Perfect. I think this looks solid. Do you have any questions about this, or does this all make sense?
It connects. It makes sense.
Got you. Anybody have any questions on this specific exercise? Solid. Okay. All right. So next up, we have Matt. Great job, Adrian. Let's see yours, Matt. All right. So what you got going on here? Explain it to us.
I'm not too sure if it's right, but I just separated for the tweets like the username and their email,
Mm-hmm.
and then I just put an ID for the person's like tweet.
I got you.
Like I just separated the like this one belong like username belongs to user and the username and the email, and then has many tweets, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
that's what kind of went through my head.
I think that's exactly where you're headed is right on the right track. There's a few questions that I have for you though. So, what is the name of this table? So theoretically, we're creating two separate tables, right? So this is, for example, employees, this is departments. For this situation down here for exercise 2, what are the two tables that you have? So what would be the name of them?
It would be would this be like users and then tweets?
Yep, that sounds perfect to me. So go and let's update that. Solid. Okay. And so every database table has an ID. So where are the IDs for the tweets? Would it be tweet ID or would it just be ID?
I think it would just be ID.
Perfect. Solid. Okay. And so now how are these two tables? So these two tables look perfect to me otherwise. But the last thing to figure out now is how are these two tables associated to each other? Right now, it's like these are two separate tables. There's no association at all. There's no way that these two tables are connected. And because you do have the right thought process. I see you're saying it seems like it's like Matt can have many different tweets there, for example. And so, but like, how can we know that that's Matt's tweet? Or how can we know that's Ryan's tweet? Like, how would we know that? Right now, a tweet, all it has is an ID and a tweet text. Like, how would we know though that like whose tweet is that? That's the way I want you to think of that. So what do you think?
Uh,
What do you think about like a foreign key, maybe? So a foreign
mm,
key is basically going to be is going to be the ID from another table. So maybe that's one way we could associate them. So let's go into your products and suppliers on the bottom. Let's go ahead and click on this one. Solid. Okay. So we can see here we have products and we have suppliers. We can see a supplier has many products. A product belongs to a specific supplier.
would it be like their email?
No, not necessarily. So let's just go back there real quick. Sorry. Go back to the products and suppliers. So there's one specific, so if we look at the different attributes or the different columns that the products table has, there's one here, specifically this supplier ID. This is what we would call the foreign key. It's called a foreign key because technically we're grabbing the ID from a separate table. So like this ID is pertaining to that value right there. So that's why we call it a
Oh,
foreign key because it's the ID from another table. So that's the connection.
so,
So with that in mind, how would you connect these two? Okay. So what is this ID for?
for the hmm,
What would you call it? Okay, okay. So is this user ID, is this a part of the users table or the tweets table?
the users.
Okay, so we're gonna do a user ID on the users table. So how would this work? So I mean, okay. So like what is a user ID? Like what is this user ID? Like what is that to you? Is my question.
Uh,
Like what is 11? What is this 11? Like where is this 11 coming from to you? Like where is that number coming from?
uh, I don't know.
One second. Okay. So well, I mean, you put numbers there. What are these numbers? Like what is 11, 12, 13, 14, 15? Like why did you put that there?
Um,
So I want us to go through this example real quick. So we can see again that a supplier, one singular supplier, has many different products. All of these products, one, two, three, four, five, those all technically belong to that first supplier, Nike.
oh, so it'd be the
Tweet
tweet
ID.
ID.
Okay, okay. I like where your head's going with this. And so if we have a tweet ID here, so let's say Matt creates another tweet. Right now, everybody here has one exact tweet. So what if you created another tweet? I want you to add another tweet here. So add ID of 16, and it's going to be whatever it is that you want, something, just say something. And I want us to walk through the way this would work. Okay, so that says something. Now, whose tweet is this? How do we know whose tweet this is?
Uh,
So actually, I'm telling you, this is Matt's tweet. I want this to be Matt's tweet. So where are you going to put, so we can see that you did 11, 11, 12, 12, right? So where is 16 going to go? This is
would go to
Matt's.
would it be like this?
Yes, exactly, exactly. And so the reason why, sorry, I'm not trying to promise you, I'm not trying to give you a hard time. I want you to understand why it is we're doing what we're doing. And so your idea here with the tweet ID here, yes, it would kind of work. However, right then and there, I think you figured out that there's an issue with what you're with that. Where if Matt has everyone here technically has one tweet. And so using a tweet ID is fine. However, what happens when Matt makes another tweet? Okay, so this tweet ID is now going to need to turn into an array of tweets. It's going to be like 11, 16, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so that would be the issue there. Because technically the way it works is Matt can have many tweets. However, a tweet belongs to exactly one person. And so that's where your kind of intuition here kind of came into play. And you are right. So we need some sort of ID here to link a tweet to a user, right?
Hmm.
Cool. So then what we could do is let's change this to user ID. This isn't just any regular ID because we cannot have ID and ID. There has to be some like we cannot have the same like attribute twice, basically. So it has to be a user ID. So specifically, yeah, there you go. So now this is a user ID. So this user ID is associated with that ID. Those two numbers are going to be the exact same thing. So now we can go and delete the tweet ID altogether. Just go and highlight all of them and then just do delete. Solid. Okay, now this looks solid now. So we can see now, and I want us to walk through this. We can see here's our users table, here's our tweets table. Let's say Matt, for example. Matt has a username, obviously he has an ID, and he has a user email. He has an email. And so when Matt makes a tweet, we go over here. Okay, cool. Here's Matt's first tweet. He said hello. And we can see, we know it's Matt's tweet because it has his ID. Okay, cool. Then we have all these other people make tweets, whatever, whatever, whatever. And then Matt makes another tweet. He creates this tweet. It has the ID of 16. It says something. And we know that it's Matt's tweet because it has his ID again. And so that's the way we're associating, what's it called? A user and a tweet. And another quick thing, actually. So this brings me to the point with Adrian, actually. So Adrian, so in your example, you wanted to do like the name of the department here. So let's say we did the name of the user. Like let's say right instead of user ID, let's say we used username right here. That would work. However, what if Matt changes his username? So now you're gonna have to change Matt in all the different places that he was that like basically where he created a tweet. Whereas if we use their ID is something that will never change. And so we don't have to worry about updating all the data. All of Matt's tweets are still associated with the same user because we know their ID. If we made it their username or their email or phone number or something like that, those are values that can change. And so if we had 1,000 tweets that Matt created, we're going to have to update that value that we're using to associate them in all of those different places. So that goes back to that problem. And so that's why we wouldn't do like a department name as the foreign key. We're going to use a department ID. And in this scenario, we're going to use a user ID versus using like their username. We wouldn't want to use their username. We'd want to use their user ID specifically. Does that make sense with everybody? Okay, cool. Solid, Matt. The last thing that I have to the final thing, the actual final thing now is with the association, which one is the has many and which one is the belongs to? What has many of the other thing? What belongs to the other thing?
Belongs to.
So I want you to, yeah, say it out loud and I want you to think through it. So a user belongs to a tweet. So one singular user belongs to a tweet. Is that correct? And so let's think of it the other way then. How about this? A tweet has many users, right? Because is that what you're thinking? So can a tweet have many users?
Uh,
Like let's say we're on Twitter right now. Can you and me create a tweet together?
yes. Or
So a user has many users?
um, hmm.
So what does a user have many of? So obviously we can see Matt has multiple of something. What does Matt have multiple of?
Tweets.
Okay, so what can a user have many of? So I'm going to read this out to you. So a tweet has many tweets.
Mm.
So okay, let's word this differently. So okay, so we have Matt here. We have one singular user right here. This is Matt, ID of 1. Matt created this tweet and this tweet. These tweets do not belong to anybody else. No one else can own these tweets. So that means that this one user right here can have that one and have that one. So technically a user has many tweets and a singular tweet belongs to one singular user, right? Okay, so go ahead and write that out. If it doesn't make sense, we're going to go through it again. Don't worry. We're going to figure out a way for it to break it down. But I don't want you to say it makes sense unless it does.
Uh, So what do I type again?
So what do you think is the association here? How okay, how about this? Can a user or let's do this. Let me think of a better example. Think of an example here. Hmm.
Can it be like belongs to twice or no?
No, so we only have one belongs to per association. Like theoretically, if there was other tables, then sure, like belongs to users, belongs to organization, whatever. But right now, no. It's like there's only these two tables, so we're only gonna have one. So we're gonna have one has many and one belongs to. So something belongs to something, and something has many of another thing. So between users and tweets, what do you think which one belongs to another thing? Does a user belong to tweets or does a tweet belong to users? What is the associate? What do you
Oh,
think intuitively?
be like this would be like this tweet belongs to, let's say like this one belongs to Matt.
Correct. Exactly. So in that sense, a tweet, yep. Yeah, you can say the whole thing. It's up to you. Yeah, yeah. Okay. And so now a user, right? Perfect. Okay. So that's the association. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to give you a hard. I'm trying to figure out a way that we can I want you to understand it. I don't want to tell you like, hey, no, write that, because then you're not going to fully understand it. And so I want to make sure because this is an important concept. Okay. This a user has many tweets or a user has many tweets, whatever, however you want to phrase it. That all that says is one singular user here can have many different tweets. They can create millions and millions and millions of tweets, whatever. However, one tweet can only belong to one user. This tweet cannot, like that hello tweet right there with the ID of one, this user or ID of 11, user ID of one. This cannot belong to Matt and Ryan and Larry, etc., etc. That one tweet cannot belong to multiple users. One tweet can only belong to one specific user. And I like that you put that to be really explicit. It can only belong to one user. So it's like that, okay? Does that make sense? Okay,
Yes.
cool. Does that make sense with everybody? Solid. Questions? Okay, cool.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
So because I have a similar setup with Matt, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the tweet and the user, one has to belong to the other, and one has to have many.
Correct.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah, I think.
has to is a weird word in the sense that like technically nothing has like if you wanted two separate tables, that's fine. But it's like the reason they have to is because they need to be connected some way. There has to be some sort of connection. And so that's where the belongs to and has many comes from. Is because technically, yeah, we could have two separate tables that mean nothing to each other. However, because we want to connect them together, it's like, what is the association? The association is going to be one singular person has many different tweets. One singular tweet belongs to that one singular person. That's the reason why we need that. Yeah,
Okay, so it matches, it connects. Okay.
exactly. We can map it. We can like there's no tweet here that just is not created by a user. Like theoretically, if we didn't have this foreign key user ID, it's like how do we know who created that tweet? Well, there's no linking. We need to link them somehow. And so we're linking them with this user ID. And as Matt had it actually, so he tried using tweet ID here. So if we did tweet ID here, okay, cool. Matt has tweet ID of 11. Okay, cool. So what if he made another tweet? So Matt also has tweet ID of 16. So theoretically, we're gonna have to do like comma 16. What if he makes another one? Okay, comma 17, et cetera, et cetera. And so this is not, it would work, but it would be overcomplicating it because we're gonna have to have like an
Good.
array of like all these
Yeah.
IDs. So that's why to simplify it, instead of doing this, we do the user ID. And we're doing that because we know that there only can be one user ID here because it belongs to one specific user. So we know that this is going to be a single integer. It's not going to be an array of integers. Yeah. That makes sense?
Solid. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Other questions, comments about this? All right. Okay. Thank you very much, Matt. I really, really appreciate it. And I'm sorry. I'm genuinely not trying to give you a hard time, I swear. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. All right, cool. So you're good to stop sharing that. And I believe Junior is up next. Solid. Okay.
Is it showing?
Yes.
Okay. So I know I probably jacked up the exercise number three and put question marks, but man, sorry guys, could I just go back over here and just see if I understand over here? So like here's the two tables
Mhm.
here, employees and then departments, right? And so I'm linking the department table. Um, see that or I have the department ID. This should just be ID, right?
Correct.
Okay, so
You
every
know why,
table will
bro?
just be ID.
Yes, yes, exactly. Because every table has an ID by default. So we're not going to create a new attribute called department ID. We're just going to use the ID that's already there.
But then we classify it on the table that we're linking. We can call it department ID
Correct.
on this table.
Because
Okay.
we need to know what is that ID for. If we couldn't just use ID on the employees table again because we already have an ID. And we couldn't call it something else because it's like we need to be explicit of like what is that ID for? And so that ID is the department ID specifically. It's not some random ID, it's a department ID.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Um,
The
so
one thing,
this
sorry,
ID.
I did not mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. But the one thing I would say um is job title. Email and phone makes sense. Yeah, this is the email for the department. This is the phone number for the department, I'm assuming. But then job title. Is job title something specific to a department or is that something specific to an employee?
Yeah, I saw Adrian had put this together with this side over here, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this
I,
one stay over here.
mhm.
That all right, you know what? I
Yeah,
can
I
do
mean, just a
that.
lot. To me, I'm just thinking like a department doesn't have a job title, a person has a job title. That isn't really something super huge. It's just I wanted you to think of that.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the okay, so already over here, this has to just be ID.
Mm-hmm.
So this one I wasn't too sure like how to think about this because I was like, wow, a product will have an image, but then will two products have the same image? And so or will one
So
image
I think what I'm not meaning to stop you, but where I want us to change the way it's set up is I want let's do this. Let me think. I'm trying to think of the way to word this. Let's do this. Instead of image 1, 2, 3, 4, put URL. So this would be like image URL, right? And then it'd be like whatever, like if you think of like an image URL online, basically like whatever dot whatever, it doesn't really matter. Yeah.
all right.
And then from there, so with that, like, so this is,
im-
gosh, I'm trying to think of the right way to phrase this. So yeah, so your product stuff is right, and I like that you have image ID here. This one's a weird one because I feel like this one can kind of be up to like debate on how you conceptually think of like images and products and how you're associating it. And so I think for simplicity, maybe we could do like for simplicity, this is the way that I had it in my notes. Because I don't think there's anything wrong with you doing image ID here. It's like, yeah, okay, cool. We have all these, a product belongs to an image has many products kind of thing. I kind of see where you're going. I see where you're going with that. But instead of doing that, let's go ahead and delete the image ID and then let's put a
Okay.
product ID here.
Okay. I think the way that I try to make sense of it was like the image of the product was like the brand symbol, and so like thing one was a brand, and so this
Yeah.
was the Nike, like, but I was like, I didn't know which way it would
I
go.
think I think what you're saying, like that's why I was like, to me, this one, like, depending on the way you're thinking of it, I could make an argument for both. That's why, like, I'm not saying what you're doing is wrong. I want to say that. But I just think that this is the way that I originally had it envisioned. So just for sake of everyone being on the same page with it, that's what we'll do. And so now we can do like whatever, this image belongs to product one. So for example, just put ID of one. And then maybe this one belongs to product two or whatever. Just give some random based on these IDs, basically one, two, three, four, five. Solid. Okay. And so this is the way that I originally envisioned it being associated, is that a product has many images. An image belongs to one specific product. And so we can see like, so imagine in our database, we have like an images table. Each image or each object that we create on this images table is going to be an image URL. Obviously, it'll have an ID and maybe it has some other information, whatever, but then it also has this product ID. And that's the important thing because that's the way that we're going to link this image to a specific product. And yes, to me, theoretically, we could also just have like image URL here, and that would kind of simplify it, kind of, because I feel like this is kind of over-engineered in a sense. But yeah, this is another way that we could do it. There's a lot of different ways that we, yeah. But this is,
As many.
yep, exactly. Has many
Okay.
images.
Yeah,
Exactly. So this
like
is the way that I kind of envision it.
that makes sense. That's like websites, right? They're selling an item and it has like five different images.
Mhm. Exactly.
That's kind of like what's happening. Okay. All
Mhm.
right.
And so if it was only one singular image, we by all means could have just done like image URL right here. And okay, then that'd be like the image URL, image URL, image URL, whatever. And so just like exactly like what you said, what if a product has multiple images? Are we then gonna like have like an array of all of the image URLs here? By all means, we could do that again. However, maybe a simpler way to do that would be to just split it up into a separate table, and each image is their own object. It has their own ID, their own URL, and their own product ID. So that way we can then associate it to what product that image belongs to. And then from there, theoretically, a product could have a million images, and it's just a matter of figuring out which image it is that we want for that product or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense. So it's kind of like you're gonna go sell your items and you just take a bunch of pictures of it and now you're just mapping it onto the items. Okay.
exactly, exactly. Yeah,
All right.
solid. Okay. How is everyone feeling with these associations so far? Feel okay?
I don't know.
So,
For me, it's it's like I don't know if it's I get the one to many and many to one, but then when you throw the I don't know what it is about this language right here, but it just trips me up sometimes. I'm like,
yeah, no, it is. It's weird sometimes. I won't lie. Um, I don't know the way that I kind of just keep saying it in my head though. It's like, okay, cool. A product has many images. So that means that one singular product can have like 10 images, for example. And in that same sense, a user has many tweets. That means that one person, like for example, Matt, can have 10 tweets. However, one of those tweets only belongs to that one specific user. That tweet cannot belong to any other users. It can only belong to that user. And so that's kind of the way like I like to physically say that out loud or in my head. Okay, cool. What is the association? Can a user have many of this? or is it can that have many users? And depending on what you're doing, it might change. So for example, in the first one, it's like in the first one we can think employees is kind of like a user, but then it's like a department has many employees, and then an employee belongs to a department. And so the other thing I quickly want to share with you on that note is there can kind of be like layers to this. So like let's say a department has many employees, an employee has many tweets or whatever messages and et cetera.
Uh,
And so that would mean a tweet belongs to an employee and an employee belongs to a department. And so there can kind of be a lot of different layers to this where we can see like from the top level down, it's like, okay, and this is actually how it works in the real world. It's like, let me grab all of the users for this specific department. All right, cool. Now I have that user that I want to, now from those users, let me grab all of their tweets for those users. And so that's going to be all of the tweets technically from a specific department, let's say, or from an organization. And that's the way it can kind of like have that whatever, maybe like pyramid in a sense, where it starts with one and they can kind of really expand to the bottom in a sense. Maybe not the best analogy, but I just wanted to share with you guys kind of the way that that can look.
okay.
Yeah. Solid, solid, solid. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a break. Let's take a 10-minute break. Let that all just kind of marinate in our head. And yeah, we'll come back in 10 and I'm gonna have you guys do an exercise where you guys set up some associations basically. All right, welcome back, everybody. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. And let's do an example together. So we have this store API, which actually everyone here is cloned, if I'm not mistaken. This is I think I had you guys all do this the other day, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. So using this products and suppliers example right here, we're gonna set up our store API. Right now, we have, if I go to my schema, right now we only have products. So we have products, but I want to add a suppliers table. And the reason I want to add that is because I want to be able to track who are the different suppliers for the different products that we have. So, and we can see because we set it up here in our Google Sheet or in our whatever Excel, whatever it is that you want to use, it's going to be it should be relatively easy for us to set it up here in the code. And so this is the way, and I remember Junior, I briefly touched this onto or was talking to this with you the other day. And so this is the way, like whenever we're creating a new API, especially as it gets more complex, this is kind of what I want us to do. I want us to set up these associations and figure out, basically, we're going to create what our schema looks like before we generate anything. Because now that we have this set up, it's going to be so easy to create the application and to update it. Because we already have everything here. We know exactly what we need to do. I'm not curious of what attributes does my or what columns does my product need? What columns does my supplier need? I have it right here. I'm not curious which one has a supplier ID, which one has a foreign key. I have it right here. I'm not curious on which one has a belongs to and has many. I have it right here. And so before we do anything, I'd like doing this practice of creating this kind of schema example of writing it out here. And so this is, especially as things get more complex, this is really what I recommend. And so for example, before we even start our capstones, everybody here is going to do something like this to break down what they need for their capstone. And so I just wanted to say that out there. Okay, so with that being said, I can see I have a products table already. However, I'm not going to generate the supplier ID yet because I don't have any suppliers to link them with. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to generate my supplier model. The other thing I would theoretically do is I would test my application, but I was just using it, so I'm not worried about it not working right now. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go Rails generate model, and then it's going to be supplier singular because we're generating a model. We're not generating a controller, or technically we're generating a database table too, but it's kind of whatever. We're generating a model right now. So supplier, and it's going to have a name, which is going to be a string, an email, which is also going to be a string, and then I'm just going to make phone number to be a string as well, just to keep it simple. Solid. I'm going to click enter. Okay, cool. So here I'm going to go check my migration file. So the first thing that I want to say, actually, nah, we don't need to complicate this. All right, cool. So I see my suppliers, name's a string, email's a string, phone's a string. Theoretically, before I run Rails DB migrate, right now is where I would edit this. After I run Rails DB migrate and this migration file runs, I will never be able to edit this again. So like all of these migration files that ran already, I cannot edit them ever again. Like these are stuff that is going to stay like this forever. I will never touch this ever again. The other thing I'll know with these migration files is they're in order. So this is the date and time. And so this is the first one that I created. I created my products table, and then I added a column, and then I renamed a column, and then I added another column, and now I'm adding a table. And so this is going in order. So like if we go to one of my other applications that has like 30 or 40 migrations, it's literally in order from when I did it one by one. And so that's the other thing I quickly wanted to know. And so everything looks good. So I'm going to go and go Rails DB migrate. Solid. Created my suppliers table. And then the next thing that I'm going to do, I think I maybe should test creating a supplier, which to do it properly, I'm going to do that. Let's go and do supplier equals supplier dot create. I need a name. We're going to use our Nike example. Nike, email, info@nike.com, and phone. I'm just going to say 123. Click enter. Solid. Supplier.all. Cool. We have some suppliers. Another thing we'll note is that if we look, the email here is filtered. Rails does this by default. It's actually something really easy to change. If you go to config, and then it's initializers, filter parameters. By default, Rails hides all of these things. So like social security number, any certificates, any keys, any tokens, any secrets, any emails, any passwords, it's going to do this filtered thing. As soon as I remove this email, restart Rails console, and then do supplier.all again, now we can see there's a supplier. You don't need to memorize that, but I just want you guys to know that because there's going to be a day come in the future where you're like, hey, man, Leon said that there's a way for us. When I'm doing email right now, it's filtered. There's a way that we could fix that. And then that's where you can ask or you can look it up. And basically you just come here to filter parameters and you just remove whatever it is you want. Email technically. Just wanted to share that real quick. All right, cool. And then I could also do product.all. And right now I have products, but none of my products have suppliers, which is fine. Whatever. It's fine for now. I haven't linked them together. Solid. Cool. So I successfully did this basically, with an exception of the association because I haven't set up the association yet. The next thing I have to do is I need to create a migration because right now, if I go to my schema, I have a suppliers table, I have a products table, there's nothing linking them together. So I need to add that foreign key, this supplier ID. So to add the foreign key, I need to generate a migration. Rails generate migration, add foreign key, or maybe a better, to be more explicit, add supplier ID to products. Solid. So I'm going to go to my migration file. And I'm going to do the syntax. It's going to be add column. And if you're ever unsure, I did Slack out right here. Here's a syntax for add column, remove column, rename column. And then you could, the other thing that I would do is I would literally just look it up. Like, what is the syntax to add a column in Rails? Solid. There's the syntax. Rails generate migration, and we can see right there, add column, products, description, text, whatever it is, etc. Okay, but anyway, going back here, actually the code. Add column, and specifically I'm adding something to the products table, and it's going to be the supplier ID. You add a colon, because it's the foreign key. And then from there, it's going to be an integer. Solid, that looks right to me. Rails, DB, with two L's, DB migrate, enter. Solid, let's go back to my schema. Cool, now I can see there's a supplier ID on my products table. Perfect. The final thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to test creating some products for a specific supplier. Cool. So I'm going to go back into Rails console. And I can go first, let me just make sure I have a supplier. Solid, I have a supplier. Now let me go ahead and create a product. So I'm going to go product equals product.create. And a product needs a title, some title. It needs a price, $10. It needs a description, some description. And then it also needs a size, say 10. And then finally, it needs a supplier ID, which I can give it ID of 1 because I know that I only have one supplier in my database. So of course, it's going to be the ID of 1. All right, cool. I'm going to go ahead and click enter. Solid, that created. Actually, I want to show you guys this work. I missed one thing to do, but I'm going to show you guys this not working first. So now that I have the product, I successfully created the product with a supplier ID. And I also have a supplier. So if I go supplier equals supplier dot first, there's my supplier. So I have a product and I have a supplier. And so now I want to test the association. By test the association, if I have the supplier, I should be able to get all of the products for that specific supplier. So I should be able to go supplier dot products, undefined method products for instance of supplier. And I want you guys to see this error. So this error is basically saying, hey, you're trying to use this method products, but that doesn't make sense. Like supplier doesn't have a method called products. And so technically, what I forgot to do is I forgot to set up the belongs to and has many associations. So I need to set that up. So I can see a supplier has many products. Let's go ahead and set that up. Has many colon products. And a product belongs to a supplier. And if you notice, it belongs to a singular supplier. And for product, I mean, for supplier, it has many products. It doesn't have many product, it's products. It's plural because it's many products. And vice versa. It doesn't belong to suppliers, not many suppliers. It belongs to a singular supplier. So that's one thing to note with that. All right, cool. So now I'm going to restart Rails console because I added my associations. And now I'm going to grab my first supplier. Supplier equals supplier dot first. And I'm also going to go product equals product dot first. What is that? Oh, I put the colon in the wrong place for both of these. There you go. I was wondering what that is. So it says syntax error right here. So I can see it says syntax error with the colon. So I knew that I put it at the wrong place. And go here. Okay, it was only for the supplier one or being for the product one that I did that. Okay, cool. There. Now I fixed it. Now I'm able to create the product. All right. So with that being said, here's my supplier. I want to grab all of this supplier's products. Because I set up the association right here, I can now go supplier dot products. So I can go supplier dot products, click enter, and here's all of the products for that specific supplier. Right now, there's only one because that's the only product I created. If I was to create more products, just to show you guys, I'm going to create some other title, whatever. And so now that I have multiple products with the supplier ID of one, if I go back and do supplier.products, now there's two products that specific supplier basically owns in a sense. And I should be able to go the opposite way because I have this associate because of the association. By the opposite way, so if I have a product, I should be able to find who's that product's supplier because of that supplier ID. So I should be able to go product dot supplier singular because the association right there that we set up and click enter, and we can see the supplier for this specific product is Nike. That's because of, again, because of the association. And so that's what I mean by go back and forth. If we have the product, we can find the supplier. If we have the supplier, we can find all of their products, given the association that we set up here. Does this all make sense with everybody? Yes, Junior.
What would happen if we say we typed it in wrong and say belongs to suppliers? Would it just crash or?
It wouldn't crash. It actually wouldn't break at all. Here, I'm going to show you. So I'm going to turn off my Rails console and I'm going to add an S there. And I'm going to turn this back on. And so now I'm going to grab my first product. Product equals product dot first. And I'm also going to go supplier equals supplier dot first. So now, because I added that S there, so the method that we're using, so for example, product dot supplier, that one that I used, that this dot supplier is directly related to what we put here. So if I click enter here, we can see undefined method supplier. Did you mean suppliers? So let me add an S. And so missing class suppliers. Oh, did I misspell? SUPP, missing class suppliers. Oh, okay, so it did break. Never mind. So it broke because it's like, hey, you don't have a class there's no class suppliers. Missing model class suppliers. The class is supplier. Okay, let me try something. I want to see. So yeah, Junior, I guess it would break. However, let me try this because there's a way that there's one specific like variation that won't break. And I think it's this one. Uh, dang, I'm just like misspelling a bunch of stuff. There. Okay, so if I go supplier.product, yeah, okay, so this is it works one way, but not the other. So you can see I said has many product, and that worked. However, that's working because we have a model called product, technically. The proper thing is has many products, but it technically won't break if you do product. However, with the other way, you cannot do belongs to suppliers. That's the one that will break. So for simplicity, I don't want you to think like it's kind of technically you can do this. I'd rather you guys just do it the right way each time. Because yeah, as you saw, one way it is going to break. The other way it technically doesn't, but in reality, it's not supplier.product, it's supplier.products because the supplier has many products. They don't have one product in that sense, you know. And so yeah, I would rather you guys use the right way rather than like because even though it technically won't break one way, I don't want you guys to use that for just so that way you guys don't get into a bad habit. Yeah. Does that make sense? Solid, solid. Okay. So I'm gonna push this up, get status, get add. And actually, technically, there's one more thing I need to do. I have a products controller. And so now when I create a product, I technically would need to associate it with a specific supplier. So I would need to add like supplier ID, colon, params, supplier ID. And so I would need to do that. And just to test it, because it's best practice, I'm doing this, I might as well test it out. Let me pull up HTTP. So if I create a supplier, host slash suppliers, make sure I have a route for it. I mean, not a supplier, that products. Sorry. Okay, products create right there. I have my products controller. The create does have a supplier ID. So let me go ahead and I'm just going to delete all that stuff and redo it. It needs a title. It needs a price, description, size, and a supplier ID. Okay, cool. And let's give it test title, $100, test description, 20, and supplier ID of 1. I know that I only have one supplier, and that's why I'm using 1. And clear my terminal, click send. Perfect, it worked. What happens if I try to use 3? I don't have a supplier with ID of 3. Cool. We can see that because we do the because we have the error handling, and another way that there's a lot of different words that people use. Another word that people use for this condition in this scenario is a happy sad path. The happy path is if it saves. The sad path is if it fails. So because we have this happy sad path or this what's it called error handling, we can see that the error is that a supplier must exist. By must exist, there's no supplier with ID of 3. So you cannot create a product for a supplier that doesn't exist. Switch it back to 1, click send, we see it works. Solid. Questions, comments about anything that I did so far? All right. Yes, Ron.
So just going back to the has many and belongs to, the belongs to has to be singular, or
Yes.
how you did it on the terminal, like because there was a supplier and suppliers, right?
Mhm.
So if it has many, then it has to be plural.
Correct. And I just want you to think of that logically. Okay, if something has many of something, like if I have a lot of rocks here at my house, I don't have a lot of rock. I have a lot of rock. And
Yeah.
in
So
that
the
same,
setup is just like grammar wise.
yeah,
So
yeah, exactly. So that one, like I want you to think of that grammar, like what is grammatically correct in that scenario. The same thing with the belongs to. I don't belong to I mean, I don't know. That one kind of can kind of go both ways, maybe. But yeah, for belongs to, it is one. It's a singular thing. For has many, though, yeah, think of it grammatically, and then belongs to is always singular. Like you belong to technically you belong to two parents, I guess. But yeah, whatever. You belong to a
but in
single,
this case, right, it belongs to one thing.
yeah, one
Has
thing,
many multiple
many
things.
things. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the way. So there's always going to be a has many and belongs to in all of the situations that we're specifically dealing with. Um, Yeah. I was gonna think of like a real world. I was gonna show you like the code that I have, but I don't want to overcomplicate it. I already showed you guys it here. So I'm gonna add this code up. Git commit dash m. Technically, this is a time where there's a lot of different changes I'm doing here. I should probably put this into multiple different commits, but I'm just gonna do it in one commit for now. So in these commits, what I did, let's see. Yeah, added the supplier ID. I mean, actually, I mainly did one thing, actually, yeah. Okay, add or create departments, department model, and add associations between departments and products. Push that up. Okay, so for you guys' exercise, I'm gonna have you guys do something similar. Here it is. This is what I was doing when you guys break. And here, I'll format this a little bit nicer. For the stuff that's code. That, that, that. Okay, okay. So this is what will probably be working for a good chunk of the rest of the class. So what I basically want you guys to do, I created this work API, and to show you guys what it looks like, it's literally, it's right here. If I go to the schema, DB schema, this work API has employees. And so you're going to first fork this work API. And then I want you to clone it onto your computer with git clone, whatever the URL is. Remember to not put this in a repository. This has to be in its own repository. This has to be its own repository. So you're not going to put this in another one. You're going to get it running, create your DB, migrate it, start your server, and I want you to create 2 employees just to make sure it works. And then from there, I want you to review the has many exercise. So we're going to basically, you're going to pull up the this exercise that we were working on earlier, because technically what you're going to do is for exercise 1, you're basically going to do exercise 1 and you're going to actually create it basically. So you already have an employees table. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to do the departments table. You're going to need to generate the foreign key and set up which one has the belongs to and has many. And I give a hint here, whichever table has the foreign key is the one with the belongs to. And all of you guys set this up already, or at least we all work through it together. So if you need to do a quick review of that because you weren't able to finish it or whatever, let me know and we can work through that together. But yeah, so everybody should have that exercise done or mostly done. And so basically, whatever it is that you guys did there is exactly what I want you guys to do just in the code. And then so after you're done setting up the associations and stuff, you're going to test creating some departments. Go to Rails console. We don't have a controller for it. If you want to create a controller for it, by all means, feel free. But for simplicity, just do it in Rails console, I'd say. And then from there, I want you to test creating some employees that are associated with those departments. And then in Rails console, I want you to get all of the employees for a specific department. And I show you exactly how to do it. Department equals department dot first. Department, I'm sorry, and this is a mistake. This has to be lowercase. I think I went through this. So, and then from there, you could go like department.employees. And then from there, I want you to try the opposite way. Get an employee and figure out which department they're from. Employee equals employee.first, employee.department. And that should give you the department that that employee is from. This should give you all of the employees from a specific department. And so test messing around with that and see what it's like. And there's a lot of stuff going on here. So I want us to take our time with it. And I'm actually going to be meeting with you guys one by one to say what's up, see what's going on, see how you're feeling. And if you want to, we can go through any specific part of this or anything like that. Um, yeah. Questions, comments about what we'll be working on? Solid. Okay. All right. So with that being said, let me fix that before I forget. Okay, cool. All right, with that being said, you guys are good to share your screen and start working on it. You guys got this.
Sorry, I'm just gonna run to the restroom real quick before I
Yeah, yeah,
start.
no rush. Be right back, guys. I'm gonna go do something for my daughter real quick, and then I'll be back and I'm gonna start meeting up with you guys. Um, I do have my stuff on loud, so if you guys have questions, feel free to just say my name or whatever, and I'll hear it and I'll come back. But I'm just gonna go help my daughter real quick with something.
Yo, are you guys in the same room? Holy.
Was that?
No, I just saw Leon on Matt's
Oh,
screen. That tripped me out. Holy
man.
cow.
No kidding.
What's up?
Wait,
I was like,
what?
wait a minute, what's going
Yeah, Matt's here. Matt's here at my house.
Oh, that tripped me. Oh my God, dude.
tripped me out? I'm like, holy
So I'm
cow.
cooking spam for my daughter right now. And so Matt's on my top setup, and then I was on my bottom setup. And so I'm cooking spam for my daughter right now so we can eat. But yeah, he
Yeah.
asked me a question. Maybe
What?
next week. Next week, everybody, are you guys cool? Are you guys down to do in person next week, like one day? Try it out, see what it's like.
You?
Junior, are you gonna be
I
back
mean,
next week?
yes, yes.
Okay, okay. Solid, solid. Maybe I'll figure it out. I'll tell you guys when. I have the office set up, and so we can do in person next week.
Oh,
Dude, I was
yeah.
like, what is this
Well, I'll get
crossover?
the medium. I guess I have a actually my table is big enough. That's what I did last time. All right.
Yeah,
Cherry,
that
Okay.
cherry.
So let's see.
yeah.
So for you, Matt,
Dude, Matt, you tripped me out. What the? Anyway.
All right, I'm back and I'm gonna grab you guys one by one now. All right. So how is everybody feeling with migrations now that we've done this? I mean, not migrations, associations. I guess, yeah, you're kind of doing a lot of things. You're doing associations, migrations, CRUD, etc. Everyone's feeling okay? Does anyone have any specific questions? So and so, yeah, we're just gonna practice with it. Does anyone have any specific questions before we start to wrap up? Okay, solid. Okay, so I think everyone's doing really good. It's just repetition. As we can see, there's a lot going on. We just need to practice with it. As we practice it more, it'll make more sense and feel better with it. I think for this weekend, I'm gonna provide homework. And so the homework is going to be to create exercise 2. So basically, if you guys remember, and I'll just share my screen, whatever. Then we'll wrap up. Sorry about that. So here's exercise 2. And so it's going to be username, email. Oh, let's do ID. So this is tweets, and this is users. Tweet, and this is going to be user ID, etc. Whatever. So you're going to do this. 1, 2, 3. Leon, Shimizu, um, Matt, I, Ron, M. Whatever, whatever, whatever. And then this is like 1, 2, 3. Just to show you guys, like, this is so basically I want you guys, and everybody here should have, if you don't already, I'll create this properly and I'll do it I'll send a screenshot of it. But basically I want you guys are gonna, and I'll create the step-by-step exercise or the homework assignment after this. But basically you guys are gonna do pretty much exactly what we did here, just with exercise 2, with technically, like, let's say a Twitter API. We'll call it a Twitter API to keep it simple because it's for tweets. And the only other difference here is that instead of forking an API, you guys are going to create your own API. So I want you guys to do it from scratch. So you're going to do the Rails new, create the database, create your first model, create the migration, create the next model, set up the associations. Then from there, if you want to set up the controllers, I'll kind of make that part optional. But I want you at least to be able to do this in the sense of, like, tweet equals tweet.first, tweet.user. User equals user.first, user.tweets. And so I'll write out the steps for it. You guys don't have to worry about that. But that's what's the homework going to be. I want you guys to do that for exercise 2. Just so that way you guys can get a little bit more practice with it. Cool. Does that make sense with everyone? All right, solid, solid. Cool. Also, I will get back to you guys on when we are going to do the in-person one. I do want to do it next week. Thinking like Wednesday or Friday, one of those days. Do people here have a preference on a day? Like, is there a day that would work better for certain people? Adrian, looks like you're saying.
I
Like
think
what time?
Fridays would work.
Oh, it'd just be regular class time, maybe 6 to 9. We'd end at 9 for sure. I would do my best since you guys are actually out that I let you guys out at 9 for sure. Like, yeah. Sorry, Adrian,
Yeah. To me, Friday would work.
Friday? How's next week Friday for everyone? Yeah, that actually would work because, okay, that I think that would work for me too. All right, so it's looking like next week Friday, in-person class. I'm gonna write that in general. Next week Friday, in-person class. That's what day is that? That is the 26th. September 26th. All right, so I'm gonna put that there. If anything comes up, I can't think of anything coming up at the top of my head, but if anything comes up, I'll let you guys know. But as of right now, I don't think anything's going on next week Friday. So yeah, next week Friday we'll meet up. And more than likely, it's a bigger space and it'll be easier for us. More than likely we'll be meeting in Agania. So basically, I have an office space there in Agania. It's near Carabao Brewing. It's literally right next to Carabao Brewing. Is that solid with everyone? Cool, cool, cool. Let me know if anything comes up. But yeah, other than that, you guys are killing it. I'll give you guys the homework. I'll do that right after the call and stuff, and but obviously I'll put up the recording, all that kind of stuff. So you guys will have that for sure by late tonight, if not early tomorrow morning. And then yeah, other than that, you guys can get to that when you can. That is all I have. Thank you guys very much for being here. I think today went really well, actually. I'm really happy with everyone here. I think everyone's doing really good. So just keep it up. And yeah, you guys have a great night and a great weekend. Be safe. And yeah, see you guys Monday. Shoot me a message if you guys have any questions over the weekend, though. All right, see you guys.
Have a good weekend.
Guys, you guys.
So you guys stay safe. Have a good weekend. Stay.
Junior, are you going tomorrow? Oh shoot. I think Junior's kid's in Harel. That's why there's an event. Okay, it's okay. All right.